As a woman in engineering, what is the best way that I can explain why I don't believe in the existence of the pay gap without getting scrutinized by other females? Well, there is no way. And not only by females, you know, it's also by males. I think the best way that you can explain is to really have what you have to do when someone makes a low resolution argument, like the pay gap is caused by prejudice. It's like, that's a low resolution argument, because what it does is take an incredibly complex measurement phenomenon that requires very sophisticated measurement, which is, well, what is this pay gap exactly? And it reduces it to a single cause. And the reason it does that is to justify a whole bunch of other ideological claims. It has virtually nothing to do with the issue at hand. And the best way to deal with that is to do what Ben Shapiro almost always does with his opponents, is show them that they don't know what they're talking about at all. The best way to do that is to have your facts calmly at hand. It's like, okay, well, first of all, there is a pay gap between men and women, let's say in engineering. The question is why? And the answer is, for a bunch of reasons. And the funny thing is that mostly when you look at anything complex in life, the answer, why does that exist, is for a whole bunch of complicated reasons, right? And people don't like that because, well, wouldn't it be nice if there was just one simple reason? And wouldn't it even be nicer if that simple reason was the same simple reason that I believe almost everything else that I believe? Right? That would even be better. And what would even be better is if that simple reason is the same simple reason that I believe, why I believe everything else I believe, and that I believe I know what to do about it. That would be perfect. And so the problem is that when someone says the pay gap is caused by prejudice, and you say no, it isn't, what you're implying is, not only is that not the right answer to that question, but it's also not the right answer to all the other questions that you've asked yourself and answered. And so they're not very happy about that at all. Right? That's partly why people don't like to have their beliefs challenged, because it goes all the way down to the bottom. But there's probably 15 reasons for the pay gap, and what you can do is know what they are. So you could read Warren Farrell's book, for example, Why Men Make More, which is quite an interesting book, and it's a good place to start. And he lists about 15 reasons why the pay gap exists. The biggest reason is there isn't a gender gap, there's a motherhood gap. And that's actually something that women in general should really be, and men as well, but it's more instantaneously germane to women, is to the degree that there is a pay gap that's relevant as a consequence of sex, it isn't between men and women, it's between men, women, and mothers. Because the mothers take a big hit for being mothers. And so we should focus our attention on that, because you could say, well, should mothers take a big pay hit? It's kind of hard on them, and they are doing something that's, you know, that they want to do and that's useful within the confines of their family, but that also arguably has some social utility. So it might be worthwhile having a discussion about how we would organize our society so that women get punished the least amount possible for having children. So, but we're not going to ever have that discussion if we keep, like, what would we call rambling on about a pay gap that's caused by patriarchal oppression of women. It's like, you can't solve a problem if you can't even formulate the problem accurately. And then there's other reasons. Men do more dangerous jobs. They're more likely to move. They're less agreeable, so they negotiate harder for salaries, because less agreeable people make more money for the same job. It's not a huge effect, but it's there. They're more likely to work outside. There's 4 reasons. There's a variety of other reasons as well. They're more likely to work in scalable enterprises. So women, for example, tend to migrate towards healthcare. Many other jobs as well, but healthcare is a good example. It's very hard to scale healthcare, you know, because if you're paying attention, taking care of someone who's bedridden, you can't scale that with technology. It's like there's you and the person. If you're an engineer and you're working in anything that can be automated, man, you can scale that like mad, and then you can make a fortune as a consequence. So anyways, there's like 20 reasons for the gap. And the gap isn't between men and women anyways, it's between men, women, and mothers. And I would say your best bet, if you want to explain that, is to just have those facts at hand and to really know them and just to lay them out calmly, right? And to not apologize. That's the other thing, is don't apologize for what you know, because they'll just tear you to shreds. So one of the things I've learned in the last 2 years is, as a consequence of being under constant scrutiny, that's right, and where the cost of making a mistake was high, was don't push your point any harder than you have to, right? That's the doctrine of minimal necessary force. But also, don't apologize if you haven't done anything wrong. So those are two other strategies that you need to know if you're going to, and that's also to that high school kid that was asked that question. It's like, marshal your facts. Don't defeat your opponent any more than you absolutely have to, right? Minimal necessary force. It's by far the best way to proceed, because you don't want to make enemies that you don't have to make. And so if you can make your points calmly and don't push the person over any harder than you have to, then maybe you can survive the fact that you know something about the situation. So, okay, and I'll close with this one. Does pineapple belong on pizza? I'd have to say no. I have a specific reason for saying that. When I was a kid, I used to work in a pizza restaurant. And it turns out that you have a lifetime capacity for pizza. And most people don't hit it. But I hit it. And so I don't like pizza at all. The pizza spice I'm not happy with. So I don't really think anything belongs on pizza. So it's not like I'm specifically prejudiced against pineapple. Thank you.